Well, the Clarity Act passed committee today. Both President Trump and Xi agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open. The whale that hasn't missed a single day, he bought again in trade 28, closed in profit today. I'm Chris Hare, the world champion crypto cowboy. I'm going to show you exactly what it means for Bitcoin and where we go from here. Let's go ahead and get into it because we've got a lot to talk about. And let me give you the full picture because tonight has a lot of moving parts. Start with the 10-year Treasury yield, sitting at 4.516% and breaking above a key Fibonacci resistance level. Think of the 10-year like the price of money for the entire economy. When that price goes up, everything that competes with bonds gets pressured, and that includes Bitcoin. The speedometer on the 10-year yield is elevated with room to run towards 4.813%, then potentially 5%. Rate hike odds, 39% with Warsh walking in the door day one. This is the most important macro signal tonight. And the dollar, the DXY index, 99.08%. It broke at $99.08. It broke above $99 and pressing the next resistance at 99.37. A bull signal just printed on the cipher. The dollar has momentum towards 100, and a stronger dollar makes Bitcoin more expensive for every buyer outside the U.S. Yields rising and dollars rising simultaneously. That's a double headwind for Bitcoin right now. Oil's at 98.11, dropped nearly 4% today on the Trump-Xi Strait optimism. That drop is real, but the Strait is still effectively closed. Almost no shipping has used it since February 28th. The ceasefire is still conditional. Oil dropped on hope today. Hope and a signal deal are two different things we need to watch overnight. Something most people aren't connecting tonight. While Trump and Xi were meeting in Beijing, the BRICS foreign ministers were simultaneously meeting in India. China was at both tables at the same time. That's not a contradiction, though. That's how China operates. They are hedging. Watch what they sign, not what they say. And here's something important. Beef hit a record $6.90 a pound today, up 77% since 2020. That's the real economy backdrop. While the Dow hits $50,000, both of these things are true at the same time tonight. And three events defined clearly. First, the Clarity Act. It passed the Senate Banking Committee 15-9 today. 2 Democrats crossed the aisle, meaning bipartisan progress. But committee passage is not a law. You got to think of it like the first gate in a 3-gate race. It now needs 60 votes on the Senate floor. Republicans hold 53 seats. That means 7 Democrats have to cross over on a bill Elizabeth Warren just called one that will blow up the economy. T.D. Cowan gives a full Senate floor vote, roughly a 1 in 3 chance. The ethics provision around Trump's crypto holdings is still unresolved. Significant step. There's a long road ahead. Second, Beijing, Trump, and Xi met today. Both agreed the strait must remain open. China expressed interest in buying American oil, but it's not a signed deal. Summit wraps up tomorrow. We need to watch Friday. Third, Kevin Warsh confirmed as the Fed chair today. He inherited 3.8% CPI. 1.4% PPI rate hike odds. They're at 39%. And a tariff structure being contested in federal court. Zero room to cut. His first public signals will move markets. Now let's talk about what the whales did today. Day 14, same buyer, same pattern, not one single miss. And you got to think of this like a grain elevator. I'm going to throw some farmerisms in here. Somebody walks in every morning for 14 days straight, the same buyer, and buys the same quantity, going to the same destination. You stop and ask, who is that guy and what do they know that I don't? And that's what's happening on chain with Bitcoin right now. Today alone, 6 separate batches of wrapped Bitcoin ranging from 448 million to about 460 million each, all moving straight to cold storage. Wrapped Ethereum batches of $61 to $71 million running every hour. And then this, $596 million in USDC moved from Coinbase Institutional to the Coinbase Exchange in 15 minutes. That's not cold storage, guys. That is buying power being loaded onto the exchange. Someone staged $596 million to buy today. That's $500 million. 14 days, $42 billion, and there's not one miss. We tracked the entry. We tracked this entity, 8 wallet hops, through blockchain back to November 2025 and found what Arkham Intelligence calls cluster 687A. It's 136 connected wallet addresses, $11 billion in total volume, operating since January 2023. They use CoinJoin privacy mixing Now, that's a technique that deliberately scrambles a transaction trail so the source and the destination can't be identified. The same technique used by entities that it cannot afford to be seen. Arkham, one of the best on-chain intelligence firms in the world, cannot identify who this is. That's not a day trader. That's not a hedge fund. Hedge funds don't operate with this level of privacy architecture for 14 consecutive days at this scale. The behavior points to a sovereign wealth fund or a nation state, and we don't know who they are. What we know is what they're doing, and they have not stopped once. And before the charts, here's what I called and when I called it. Trade 28 closed today as a win. Shorts entered at 81,384. Take profit one hit at 79,152. That's a 49.29% return on equity. Stops moved to break even. The closed protected. The 4-layer framework called it. The macro confirmed it. Whale flow confirmed it. Chart structure confirmed it. And the trigger fired exactly as planned. Account, the $100 challenge, sitting at $237 realized tonight. Record now stands at 18 wins, 11 losses. And there's no active trade tonight. The checklist governs entries outside band cipher dot capitulation volume. Stochastic RSI maxed with K crossing D on a confirmed closed candle. None of those things have printed, and structure is in no man's land. Sitting out is the correct position. Flat is a win when the setup isn't there. And BloFin has a $7,000 trading competition running all of May. Top prize $2,800. Sign up through the link in my description and you're automatically entered. And if you want to skip the learning curve altogether, search the Crypto Cowboy in the BloFin copy trading tab to follow every trade without reading a single chart. There's a full breakdown on all of this in the Crypto School. You'll find a link to that in my description. Tyler Hill, Connor Kinney, and about 8 other coaches are in there. If you want to learn how to trade this stuff, that's the place to be. And if this is your first time here, subscribe right now. Tomorrow, Beijing wraps up Friday options expiry. The whale is on day 14. You don't want to miss what comes next. Hit subscribe and tap the bell. Now, here's what smart money is doing underneath all of this. CVD, cumulative volume delta, the scoreboard between buyers and sellers, is showing strong buys on the daily, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour simultaneously. All 3 time frames aligned to the buy side. Buyers are winning the tug of war on every time frame right now. And the funding rates across the exchanges are mixed. Most shorts are paying longs. The people betting on a drop are paying the people betting on a bounce to hold their positions. Long-short ratio, 38% long versus 62% short. The crowd is heavily positioned for a drop. And when the crowd leads that hard in one direction, there's a squeeze risk that gets high. If price moves up even slightly, those short positions get forced to buy, and that buying accelerates the move. High squeeze risk tonight. Open interest up 9.3% in 24 hours. Significant new money entering the market right before Friday options expiry. And ETF flows negative 12.8 million today. It sounds bad, but yesterday was negative 630 million. The institutional bleeding slowed dramatically in one session. Coinbase Premium at negative $104, the most negative all week. U.S. institutions are selling Bitcoin hard into 81,000 today, while the whale kept buying. The tug of war of what's holding price in this range right now. Options max pain tomorrow across all 3 Friday expiries is $80,000. Market makers want that price at $80,000 by Friday close. That's the gravitational pull lower into tomorrow. And let's go ahead and get into the charts, because I know that's what you're here for. And here's the weekly chart, the 30,000 foot view. And what we're looking at, Bitcoin, it's $80,900, sitting below a wall of moving averages overhead. The EMA 100 at 82,468 and the weekly 50 smooth moving average, the highway center line on the weekly at 82,546 are sitting within $78 of each other. That cluster is the ceiling. Prices tested it twice and been rejected both times. The weekly close above 82,546 is the only thing that confirms a structural shift. Above that wall, the EMA 50 at 85,653 aligns with the 382 Fibonacci fence post at 86,367 and the wave 5 target zone at 86,122 to 87,270. That whole band is the critical decision if wave 5 up plays out. Now, what the indicators say, the weekly stochastic RSI, the heartbeat, is at 49.80 tonight and below 50 for the first time since the war low. That's a macro bear signal, and bounce momentum is building on the speedometer, but the RSI below 50 is the structural override. The weekly cipher hidden bull signal is rising, but a bearish divergence pattern showing lower highs on the indicator while price made lower swing highs. Wave completion not confirmed. What it means, short-term bounce momentum is present, but long-term structure is still bearish until the weekly RSI reclaims 50 and price holds above 82,546. The head and shoulder stays on the map. The head's at 126,188, right shoulder at 82,350. Measured move targeted 34,178. That doesn't go away until 82,546 breaks and holds on a weekly close. Two macro roads, war low at 59,836 completed the correction. New bull impulse towards 86,122 to 87,270, or the correction isn't finished yet. And 41,892 is the destination. The weekly close above 82,546 is what separates those two roads. Now we're going to zoom in a little bit and go to the daily chart where the near-term story lives and what we're looking at. Price pressed an overhead resistance cluster right now. The EMA 200 and the SMA 200, the long-term trend lines just stacked between 81,965 and 81,981. The weekly 50 smooth moving average at 82,546 sits just above. Price is knocking on the door from below. That is the wall. Now there's three support floors below if price pulls back. The first floor is the EMA 20 and SMA 20. The short-term trend lines cluster between 79,419 and 79,555, along with the daily 50 smooth moving average. Lose that zone on a daily close, and it's a fresh bear signal. Second floor, 76,706 to 76,866. And third floor, the daily 50 simple moving average at $75,000. It sits within $41 of the wave 4 primary targeted at 75,044. Fibonacci target, daily moving average, institutional floor, and the wave count, the 4 technical layers on the same number. What the indicators say, the daily RSI, the heartbeat, is above 50 and rising for the first time since the wave 3 top. That's a meaningful structural shift. The daily stochastic RSI, the speedometer, is low with significant room to run higher, and the daily cipher hidden bull signal active and climbing. What it means, the daily is giving you a short-term bullish read, but price is pressing against 81,965 to 82,546 resistance wall. Until that breaks with a confirmed daily close, the structure hasn't resolved. Daily RSI holding above 50 is the key watch level tonight. If it holds and pushes higher, the wave 4 gets stronger. If it rolls back below 50, subwave 5 towards $75,000 accelerates. And before that 4-hour chart, something most of you haven't thought about. Every time you sell crypto for a gain outside a retirement account, the IRS is your silent partner taking their cut every single time. A Bitcoin IRA through iTrust Capital lets you gains grow tax deferred or tax free. It's the same concept as a 401k, but built for Bitcoin and crypto. You're not just buying Bitcoin, you're protecting it, not because they're a sponsor, but because it's the right move. There's a $300 sign-up bonus through my link in the description. Go check it out. Moving back to the charts. This is the 4-hour chart, and here's where the trade lives. What we're looking at, price at 80,899, sitting above every single 4-hour moving average. That is a fully bullish 4-hour moving average structure. But the subwave count tells a more complicated story. Subwave 1 down, 82,812 to 79,152. Subwave 2 up, 79,152 to 82,350, rejected by the weekly 50 smooth moving average not once, but twice. Subwave 3 down, 82,350 to 78,721. Subwave 4 up, 78,721 to 81,996 on the Trump G catalyst. Subwave 5 is pending, target $75,000. The critical support zone, the 4-hour moving average cluster, sits between 80,399 and 80,615. That's the floor of the current room. A closed 4-hour candle below that cluster is the trigger that confirms Subwave 5 is underway towards 75,044. Now, what the indicators say, the 4-hour stochastic RSI, the speedometer has K crossed above D. It's confirmed bearish cross. Momentum's rolling over, but the 4-hour RSI, the heartbeat, is above 50 and the bullish structure is still intact. But the warning signal is the 4-hour cipher divergence, lower highs on the indicator while price pushed higher. The engine is losing power before the stall, and what it means, there's a bullish moving average structure, there's a bearish speedometer, cipher warning. This is no man's land, guys. No clean entry in either direction. You got to watch 80,399 to 80,615 is the floor. A closed 4-hour candle below it confirms Subwave 5 towards $75,000. Watch 82,546 is the ceiling. A weekly close above that throws out the bear thesis entirely. A good farrier doesn't shoe a horse still moving. No entry until the structure resolved. And tomorrow, Beijing wraps up. Friday options expiry, max pain at $80,000. The whale is on day 14. This weekend could change everything. If you're not subscribed, you will miss it. Hit subscribe and tap the bell right now, and you'll be notified as soon as something breaks. Two roads from here, both have a plan. Neither has panic. Road 1, wave 4 completes at a flat right here. CVD buy pressure wins the tug of war with institutional selling, and Bitcoin holds above the 4-hour moving average cluster at 80,399 to 80,615. Beijing produces another concrete announcement Friday, and the daily RSI holds above 50 and pushes higher. Weekly RSI reclaims 50, price breaks and holds a weekly candle above 82,546. Wave 5 launches towards 86,122 to 87,270. And then there's road 2. The 4-hour cipher divergence confirms options max pain. Gravity pulls price towards $80,000 into Friday expiry. The 4-hour moving average cluster fails on a closed candle, and the daily RSI rose back below 50. Subway 5 activates towards $75,000 where the daily 50 simple moving average lives. The Fibonacci fence post and the institutional floor all converge on the same level. And both roads lead to wave 5. The question is whether we get there directly or through $75,000 first. The spooked horse runs until something stops it. Smart cowboys wait. And tonight we're going to close it out with our spiritual closer. Tonight comes from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Tonight we looked at $42 billion moving in the dark. Wash inheriting an economy that nobody handed him the keys to fix. Clarity Act passing one gate while 7 more stand between here and there. But Beijing agreed to words while ships still sit outside a closed strait. A lot of waiting, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of noise that has no clean answer tonight. But waiting isn't weakness. The whale waited 14 days without announcing a single move, and the eagle doesn't flap harder when the wind stops. It waits for the thermal and lets it carry the weight. The framework tells you when to move. Until then, wait. Renew your strength. The trade comes to the patient. God gets the credit for this channel, and God gets credit for whatever happens next. I'm Chris Hare, the world champion crypto cowboy. I really appreciate you watching. We'll see you down the road.